In the bright fall of 1947, a high-profile trial of former Nazis accused of unimaginable crimes committed during the Holocaust broke out in Krakow, Poland. The trial was one of the largest SS trials ever, with around 40 people in the dock, including both men and women. The most notorious in this list was Maria Mandel, infamous among the prisoners under the ominous nickname the Beast. Mandel was characterized by frightening cruelty and cold inhumanity and was accused of torture and countless murders in the Ravensbrück and Auschwitz-Birkenau camps. After the war ended, she was arrested and tried before a court that handed down the harsh sentence of the death penalty. Maria was one of 2 women out of 21 former SS men executed for war crimes. Maria Mandel's fate is a prime example of an executed Nazi villain whose career was cut short at a relatively young age. During her years of service in the camps of the Third Reich, she gained a reputation as a ruthless overseer. But what was it that set her apart from the rest of the warders and led to her death sentence? Her story has a beginning. On January 10th, 1912, she was born in Munzingen to a German family of a shoemaker in Austria. Maria grew up a diligent girl, although she received only a basic education, finishing elementary school. From an early age, Maria worked at the post office and loved music, which remained her lifelong passion. Little is known about her family, but it can be assumed that they were no strangers to financial hardship. One day, however, Maria made a life-changing decision. At the age of 26, she moved to Munich and joined the Women's Auxiliary of the SS. After only a few months, she found herself working as a warden in one of the first German concentration camps. Camp Lichtenberg initially housed German citizens who dared to go against fascism. Gradually, they were moved to larger camps like Buchenwald and Dachau. The women who became wardens went into this voluntarily. Despite formal regulations, the camps were chaotic and arbitrary. Maria quickly earned the trust of her superiors and soon found herself in Ravensbrück. There, her career skyrocketed, and she became a senior warden, expanding her power and responsibilities. After joining the NSDAP, Maria rose even higher and became the head of the Auschwitz-Birkenau camp, where she was responsible for the lives of many people. Under her control was the organization of work for the concentration camp inmates. SS Obersturmbannführer Lieutenant Colonel Maria Mandel wielded absolute power over the women's camps of Auschwitz. Her cruelty and sadistic pleasure in beating and humiliating prisoners made her a sinister symbol among the prisoners. The women called her nothing but beast or monster. She was so cold that she could order the execution of any prisoner who looked at her the wrong way. Mandel drew up liquidation lists and sent over 500,000 women and children to the gas chambers. How did she, with only 4 grades of education, manage to rise so high? Her colleagues recognized her diligence and boundless ambition, but her gruesome cruelty helped her earn her infamy. She went from being the head of the post office to an unquestioned authority in a strict uniform and expensive clothes. One of her amusements was choosing a prisoner as a toy. Such toys became her temporary favorites and then were sent to death without pity. Eyewitnesses recalled one case when Mandel unexpectedly embraced a Polish boy, but this mercy was short-lived, and he soon met a sad end. Maria never felt affection for people. Her ruthlessness did not prevent her from carrying out public punishments and subjecting prisoners to cruel medical experiments. Despite her heinous acts, she was awarded the Cross of Military Merit of the 2nd degree, an honor rare for women, although her achievements were paid for with the blood and death of many people. Maria, despite everything, remained devoted to music and even formed her own orchestra in the camp. Lucia Adelsberger, a former prisoner of Auschwitz, recalled how exhausted women were forced to march to the sound of the orchestra when they returned from work. Music was used in a variety of situations, for welcoming speeches by commandants during transportation and even at executions. Mandel's favorite tune was an aria from Puccini's Madama Butterfly, and inmate Fania Fenelon had to play it for her superior even at night. In 1943, Maria initiated the first women's orchestra in Auschwitz, which accompanied prisoners to work. The female members of the orchestra had the luxury of living in the best barracks and wearing high-quality uniforms. There were violins, cellos, guitars, and accordions, and the orchestra was conducted by the Viennese violinist Alma Rose. After her death, Maria even attended the funeral. Most of the female orchestra members survived the war, and their recollections of their time in the ensemble are left in their memoirs. Nevertheless, even with privileges, their lives were full of hardship. They were forced to repeat the same pieces endlessly, regardless of the weather, and to play music that glorified fascism, the perpetrator of the destruction of their lives. Dr. Josef Mengele, the infamous Angel of Death, was one of those who found pleasure in the camp orchestra's performances. He often came to hear Schumann's works, especially the collection of children's scenes. On weekends, Maria's orchestra held concerts for the SS men, becoming a source of recreation and entertainment for them. Organizing the orchestra was a kind of achievement for Maria. Interestingly, she had a romantic relationship with Karl Bischoff. Although the depth of their connection remains a mystery, it is known that Karl was responsible for important construction projects inside the camp, including the building of crematoriums and the design of the gas chambers. In early 1945, as Allied troops were liberating the occupied territories, Maria attempted to escape to her homeland, Austria, through the Alps. But her parents refused to shelter her. Eventually, justice caught up with her at her sister's house in Schadenberg. The first trial of the Auschwitz crimes took place in Krakow in 1947, where 40 Nazis were tried before the tribunal. For 23 of them, including Maria, it ended with the death penalty. For 23 of them, including Maria. Maria Mandel was found guilty of mass murder. And the evidence proved that she personally contributed to the deaths of 35,000 men, women, and children. Her high office and her active participation in deciding the fate of people equated her guilt with the top SS commanders. At her trial, she couldn't be excused for simply following orders because she was in charge of the camp system. During the interrogations, Maria discussed her activities calmly. She did not try to justify her and other Auschwitz punishers' actions. The evidence against her was overwhelming, nearly 70 volumes of criminal files of 200 pages each, in which prisoners described torture and horrors, served as evidence of the genocide of Slavs and Jews. Maria was held for about a month awaiting execution, during which time she shared a cell with another warder, Teresa Brandl. The sentence was carried out on January 24, 1948, in Krakow's Montelupich prison, which handled earlier Gestapo cases. Maria became the first of 21 executed on the gallows. Before her death, she shouted, "Long live Poland!" and her body was handed over to students for medical training.